What's going on, guys? This is TVW slash TheVoltWithin here, bringing you guys some more Gears 5 gameplay for you guys today. And you guys voted for the next topic for this video, and that is why I don't like shopping at GameStop. Now, I shopped at GameStop a few times when I was younger, and when you're a little kid, you don't really know anything. You just kind of assume that everything's perfect all the time, so therefore you don't really care, like, what actually goes behind the scenes on certain things. And I didn't really know GameStop was just a horrible, horrible retail store. And not just like for gaming, but just as a store company altogether. I have a lot of friends who've worked at GameStop, whether it was for seasonal or they were there for part-time. And then there was a couple that were managers of certain stores of GameStop. And they would tell me the horror stories they would have working there. And it's just not talking about the work atmosphere of GameStop. I'm also talking about like GameStop as a store altogether. Because most of the time when I shop at GameStop, most of the workers are pretty chill. Sometimes you'll get a mixed bag depending on the store location. And, I've had cool interactions with people at GameStop. And a lot of them, like I've talked to, they would either talk to me about Soul Calibur 5 or like Soul Calibur 6 because that was just coming out during that time last year. And then when Gears 5 was announced, like a couple of the guys were talking about, they're excited for the game and, they hope that it's like not filled with microtransactions, and that was pretty nice. But the one thing that I don't like about GameStop, and this is why I don't really like GameStop, it's because when you support a video game, especially a game you like, a lot of the times, and most of the time, and pretty much it is this way, is that when you buy a used game at GameStop, none of that money goes to the developer for that certain game you're purchasing. And that's kind of why when the Xbox One came out, do we all remember that DRM thing that was going on with the Xbox? Right when the PS4 and the Xbox One were going at it at launch, and a lot of people were not agreeing with the backwards compatibility thing, and a lot of people were saying that they didn't like how the DRM thing for the Xbox, you couldn't like play games and share games with like your friends, and that you weren't allowed to use like used game discs because they were pretty much bound to an Xbox account. And I'm pretty sure Xbox did that because they were trying to stop companies like GameStop because they were just not for, the money not going to the devs. And, I guess I'm kind of just this way with like music too, because it's like, if you support an artist, like if you really listen to your favorite artists and you've been following them for the longest time, it is nice to kind of support, that artist in a way, because they are making some time and taking the time to create something for you, the viewer or the listener, and that can go into like a different type of thing as well, with like different opinions on that kind of thing. But for me, I guess I'm just this way where I believe that if you support an artist or you support something like a video game developer studio that makes that game for you, I think it would be kind of a nice thing to support them in some way. And you get some people it's like, well, I'm playing their game, that should be good enough. Well, it's like, yeah, but you're not giving, you're giving your money basically to someone who doesn't even deserve, their rights to that certain game. And it's like, if you're going to support someone who goes against everything that you believe in, or that you're just not, you don't stand where they stand. It could be an actor or some kind. Like a person could just say something that you don't agree with, and then yet you still give them money to see their movies. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but with GameStop in particular, I just don't shop there. The way I get my games is from, Amazon, and then I also go to, sometimes if you follow certain game studios on Twitter or just their website, you can purchase their games on there as well. And I also shop at Best Buy every now and then, and a lot of people say like, oh, well, that money doesn't go to the devs at Best Buy. Well, it actually does, because they're not selling you used games. Like, they're not. And they have a thing where a lot of that money goes specifically to the developers, you know? And from a lot of people that worked at Best Buy that I know, they say like, yeah, compared to GameStop, a lot of the used game sales are just like, they'll take off like $5 or like $2 from like a game from GameStop just so that money goes to the company. Like that's just so shady to me, you know? And I guess that's why Blockbuster kind of died on the way, because, you know, they were pretty much doing the same thing when they were selling movies, you know? And to me, GameStop is going to be one of those companies like Blockbuster that's just going to die within the next decade or so, maybe even sooner, because they actually closed like, I think they closed like 200 stores recently, maybe even more now, because I haven't really been updated on that stuff. But I know they're closing down and that they're revamping GameStop as a brand and as a store. Like, it's crazy, because they know what they're doing just doesn't work. And a lot of people don't really want to, you know, go to GameStop, because I remember the one time I went to GameStop. I was in high school, and this is when the Nintendo DS was like pretty cool back in the day. And I remember I was asking if they can sell me Yoshi's, I think it was like Yoshi's Island something. I forgot the title of the game, but it was one of the Yoshi games for the Nintendo DS. And one of the workers there didn't know what the game was. Like, I was just like, are you serious? Like, Yoshi is pretty well known in the Nintendo community, and as soon as he's like, I don't know what that game is, he goes on the computer, looks it up on the system quote, and he's like, well, it's not on the system, so therefore I don't think that game either came out or that it exists. And I'm like, dude, like, they literally have trailers for it, and that they announced the release, it came out like a week ago. Like, it was just kind of frustrating, you know? And I just kind of thought that was kind of ridiculous, because, like, dude, how do you not know, like, how many games that came out, and like certain games came out and you don't even know, and like keep them listed on like a checklist or something. I don't know, maybe it was just that specific GameStop, but for the most part, when people work at GameStop, it's not because they're knowledgeable in games. I mean, that's not always the case sometimes. But anyway, that's my rant for GameStop. If you guys have any other experiences with GameStop, please leave it down in the comments down below. Maybe if I'm wrong, and just let me know, you know, if you've had any bad luck with GameStop. But this is TheVoltWithin, guys. I think the final score is like 15-4. Either way, it's going to show up. But leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you like what you see. And this is TheVoltWithin, guys. And I will see you guys on the next video.